Welcome to the Three Chords podcast. We are back. I'm Andy.
And I'm Jim. Nice to see you all.
And nice to see you. And thanks all for tuning in. We don't tune in anymore because it's the internet. Why do people still say that? Okay, so we're the Three Chords podcast and some lies, but for short, Three Chords. So we do guitars, we do amps, we talk about all things guitar and playing. And today, it's my turn to ask Jim a question.
Yep,
it's a
absolutely.
question.
And I'm not prepared for this in any way. So this is completely off the cuff.
You won't be. So
No.
Now you are holding a brand new guitar that you've just got.
I am.
Novo.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about it.
Right. So basically, Novo is a company set up by a guy by the name of Dennis Fano. He set up Fano Guitars in, I think, about 2006. Worked with them until 2014. And he's fairly recently, I don't know the date on it, set up Novo. And these are all absolutely hand built. This is the Mirus, which is the semi version of it. It's got Fralin pickups in it, roasted maple neck, beautiful
Nice.
Sunbursty finish here, which you can't really see. It's actually almost purple. It's that red.
It's a fine thing, and it almost looks like you can see the wood through it as well.
You definitely can. That's another thing that they do. You can actually see the wood grain through the nitro, which is unusual. So the nitro is really, really thin, as you can see from back there. Yeah,
it's a very pretty thing.
It's fabulous. It's the second one I've had. What you'll go on to my discussions about my trading anyway. But this is the second one of these, and I always regretted getting rid of the first one.
Yeah.
And I've also got. It would be really great if it turned up whilst we're on the podcast. But I'm waiting for an original Fano to arrive this morning as well from another trade that I did. So that's a 2008 one, and I'm also currently getting one built to honour my mum who passed away last year.
Yes,
I'm getting Fano to build me one of their GF6s, which is their set neck solid bodies. But anyway, that's a different story.
We'll definitely go down that road and do because I've had a hand-built guitar, which we spoke about last week. So in a future podcast, we will talk about.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the individual guitars.
your new Fano. So the question for today is: you've just bought this lovely Fano guitar, and it's a big, stunning, semi-acoustic sort of or hollow-bodied guitar. It's beautiful, and your reputation precedes you. In about a week, you're going to get rid of it.
Well, this is
what you do. You trade guitars. They are like my babies. I'm selling this over my dead body, my beloved Ed Stratocaster.
Yeah.
But you don't have this mindset, and this is just bizarre to me because it's like selling your children. So explain to the viewing several this bizarre mindset.
Well, look, it's some people have problems with alcohol, drugs, and women, and I don't. I have a problem with what's called GAS, which is guitar acquisition syndrome. You see,
indeed it is. Yeah.
It's really weird because basically, I wouldn't even like to put a number. It's got to be up in the 300s of guitars that I've owned in my life.
Yeah, great.
Which is a lot. Now, what I tend to do is I have a fairly one in, one out, or 2 out, 1 in rule. So I'll sometimes, like with this one, trade 2 for the cash towards getting this and that sort of thing. The idea is not to cost myself too much money, and maybe even to make a bit every now and again. But but it's what it is I'm always constantly searching for the ultimate guitar. Now, for me, that's almost more about feel than it is about just about tone. I really, because I spend most of my playing time, I do play out on a regular basis. I do rehearse, but most of my playing time is sitting on the sofa whilst my wife's watching the telly. So I like to be able to have a guitar that's got a nice feel to it, that sounds nice when it's not necessarily plugged in, that I can just sit and practice on.
Agreed.
So the answer from this, yes, my reputation. As I always said, and my friends always joke, maybe this one's a keeper. Who knows? It probably isn't. So there we go. But
we know it isn't.
At the moment, Well, it's all about having the right stuff in your arsenal of guitars, I think.
So, but I mean, feeling guitar is a massive thing. It's a very important thing. So I've got my Ed Strat here. One of my students has got just a normal American black and white Strat with a maple neck, all the rest of it, and the feel of them are completely and utterly different.
Yeah,
Although this is like signature and a bit custom shoppy,
yeah,
they look the same to an outsider. You'd put them next to each other and you'd go, they're the same. But the
yeah.
feel is remarkably different.
Completely. And this is the ironic thing, and I've always wanted to ask you about this. Obviously, this isn't a discussion about that specific guitar,
No,
but that is a reissue of I Write a 75.
it's not a reissue. This was a ground up designed guitar that the Edge
I see.
that came.
I thought that it was a reissue of or a copy of his 1975 Strat.
Well, sort of, but his famous Blackie was, well, it was black because it was all black apart from
Yeah,
the pickup selector and the end of the tremolo. But as far as
yeah,
I'm aware, Edge designed this with Fender and Dallas Shue, his guitar tech, who I so want his job.
yeah.
Um, and it's got a custom pickup in it. It's got
Right.
the poles are completely level. On a Strat they normally
Yeah,
staggered. These are not. It's got the truncated neck. It's got a four bolt neck rather than the
yeah.
three,
Rather than the 70s one, which would have the three
which would have
exactly.
had the three. But it does have I do love a chunky headstock on a Strat.
Yeah,
I
it
do.
does have the 70s headstock, which is you're
So it
absolutely right.
does have that, and it's also got the these the deluxe bridge and saddles like the
Which are
deluxe
excellent.
Strats have, which are really excellent.
Yeah,
So it's with that. I think it was with his original Blackie, as he called it, in mind, but I
yeah.
don't think it was a reissue of it. I think it was a
Because
brand new.
well, that's great. Because I've always thought, why the hell would they reissue a 70s Strat? Because 70s Strats weren't any good. But it's
Yeah,
so this is why I've always thought that. But it's always, I know those things are amazing, so I'm sure that there must have. And we could do a whole nother one about this one. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
we could. Yeah, we're getting distracted. So um, gas is I think we were going to plan to talk about gas at some point, and
Yeah,
gas is was first introduced to me by Gordon from Rudy's Music
yeah.
Store. I don't know if Gordon's still there. Hi Gordon, if you are. And he basically said, gas, have you got gas for this thing? And when I was talking about the Penton, I said, what's gas? And he said, oh, it's guitar acquisition
So
syndrome.
it's been around that long, the phrase.
Yeah, 20
Oh,
years at
that's
least.
interesting. Okay,
That's where I got
cool.
it from. Yeah, that's where I got it from, and goodness knows where Gordon got it from.
Yeah,
But he had I just thought that was just so right, because
yeah.
guitar acquisition syndrome isn't passing a shop and going, oh, that's a nice Strat, I quite like that. This is, I'm going to sell my children a kidney and a limb to own
Yeah.
that guitar. That's guitar acquisition syndrome.
This is the thing. Now, I have a slightly different one to that. My
Okay.
eye wanders really badly. So I'll be sitting there and I'll think, oh, I tell you what, I'll be sitting playing a perfectly good, perfectly excellent custom shop Strat. And I'll be thinking, yeah, I've had this for a couple of weeks. I fancy something different. Really fancy a Novo. And then I'll start looking to see if I can find a way to make it work. And there's a very, very good guitar dealer who I deal with all the time, who you've dealt with also, Steve Jordan.
Okay.
And Steve is always great because he always pays a fair price and he always pays quick.
Mm,
And he's got a great selection of stuff and he's
yep.
excellent to deal with. There's many traders out there. Ryan Hislop is great over at 58 Sound. Jim Ramsey at the Guitar Trade Centre. Loads of great guys around.
Mm,
And it's always good to mention the good ones. Steve Jordan's always been excellent to me. And basically, when I've got a customer, I always think to myself, I wonder what Jordan will give me for that. So I'll drop him a message, and within 15 minutes, he comes back and he says, Jim, I'll give you X. And I'll be like, right, okay, so that's my budget.
yeah.
So I need to go out and find a Novo
Mm,
that's going to fit that budget, which is what I did. So there was one up, it was up online. It was up at probably about £600 more than that. But I just try my luck, drop the message to the guy and said, look, I've got X because I've just sold this to Steve. And if you're interested in getting rid of it, just let me know.
yeah.
And so, yeah, and lo and behold, that happened. And so this was on its way. and you will also
Yeah.
see a week ago. I picked up a very very nice Guild X170T,
Yes.
which
Which is all ready for sale.
already for sale because I wasn't expecting this to happen. And
No,
also,
indeed.
what I wasn't expecting to happen was I was very much in love with the Friedman Telecaster, which is a double humbucker Telecaster.
Okay.
But I've got the Fano coming, which has got double humbuckers on it. And I thought
Mm.
to myself, I've got too many guitars with double humbuckers on. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to sell that Friedman, which is excellent, and I'll miss it and I'll regret it. I'm going to sell that to Steve, which I did yesterday.
Okay.
It's on its way to him now.
Right.
And I'll get X amount of cash. And I
Mm.
sold a couple of pedals, so I got myself probably
Okay.
somewhere in the region of a couple of grand's worth of buying stuff.
Yeah.
And I had it in my head what I was going to get. And what I was looking for was a Telecaster. I was looking for I was looking for a Telecaster or a Sur Strat or something a bit different. Anyway,
Yeah.
my good friend Peter over at Rigby Guitars up in near Manchester
Mm.
had this Fano that he messaged me about a few weeks ago. And it turns out it's a 2008 Fano, so it's actually made by Dennis Fano himself. Now, I know it's not your thing because we're going to go into the whole relic conversation at another time, but this thing is so heavily relicked. And he
Is this
messaged
the
me about
one
it a
from
couple of weeks.
yesterday?
This
Sorry,
is the
this
one
is the
from
one from
yesterday.
yesterday. Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah, not your thing. I know that, but it had come. He'd sent me a picture of it a week or so ago, and I thought, I love that, but at the moment, not on the thing. And I thought, do you know what? It's got a Telecaster bridge pickup. It's got a P90 in the neck, solid body. I love Fanos. Maybe I'll have a look and see if I make him an offer on that. And then he sent me a picture of the neck, and then I fell in love with it, and I had to make it happen.
Okay.
So yesterday, I have a very good pedal guy I deal with, a guy called Callum at CWJ Pedals.
Yep.
And he took 3 pedals off me, which meant that I didn't spend a single brass penny, and I fundamentally swapped out the Friedman for this Fano, which might even arrive whilst we're talking, which could be exciting.
So to get sort of somewhat to the bottom of this psychologically, that you just enjoy the new equipment thing.
I love the feel of it. I basically my ideal is to have one decent semi, or I play a lot of semis, so two decent semis. So I've got I've got my wonderful Zoner over there that I'll bring in a second.
Yeah.
Two semis. These are both semi bolt-ons. One semi neck through, which I've got coming.
Yeah.
And something Les Paul like. That being a Les Paul 58 reissue, which is one of my main stage guitars.
Yeah.
A Junior and something Fendery to have. And if I've got that, that's kind of what I want, what I like to have in the house.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I will quite often spot something and it'll make me go, so I have a lighter gas than you. So when you get gas, you've got to make it happen and it has to be exactly that. For me, it'll be, oh, that's piqued my interest. Let's see what I can do. There are a couple of things I will never sell. My Zoner, which I'll just grab from here, because obviously
grab the Zoner.
Wayne and I, well, it's Wayne's business, but Wayne and I have done a fair amount together on this. This is my Zoner Iska that I designed the colour of, which it's Wayne will tell you exactly what the colour is. It's a metallic-y, greeny, really hard to describe the colour. It's beautiful. And Wayne makes the most phenomenal guitars. The neck's actually made out of cherry wood.
Oh, wow.
And this was made for me, so by my mate. So this never goes anywhere. Yeah, another one, again relates to Wayne. There is my Gibson SG, which is a 2004 SG.
Yeah.
Now, story behind that one and why that one stays is that, again, it's down to Wayne. When I had a big pile of financial trouble about 20 years ago, maybe a bit less now. And I'd just been out and bought, which I shouldn't have done, a Gibson SG Special, and it was a white one, and there wasn't very many of them made. White one with an ebony board. Great guitar. I used it at the gig at the 100 Club, and I I ran out of money. I was absolutely skinned. Didn't know what to do. Wayne said, you know what, I'll buy that off you. And it did me a massive favour. So he bought it off me. He played it all the way through Rhesus and another band that he was in after that. And then one day he was at Surbiton's train station and he dropped it and the neck went,
Oh,
And it was one of those things like neck full wasn't just a neck break; it went completely went.
oh,
And he
geez.
said to me, "You know what? You can have that back if you can get it fixed." So I said, "Mate, thank you so much. I've loved that guitar. I've always missed it."
Mm,
And there's a legendary luthier by the name of Philip Dubrel, who used to be based in Denmark Street, now based in France, and he basically,
mm.
oh, he's a genius, real French guy. And I remember once going down to his studio, and he sat there with Liam Gallagher's Red 355 on the side, going, "Yeah, fucking Gallagher turns up, breaks the bloody headstock off this thing." Really
Wow.
great guy, super animated. I remember walking in there, and he's got LA Woman by the Doors at full volume, and he bellowing over the top. "There's something wrong with a man who doesn't love the Doors." And I said, "Yeah, I agree with that." But absolutely. Anyway, I took it to him. He took one look at it. He went, "Yeah, that's pretty fucked." And I went, "Okay." So he said, "But I am the wizard," is what he would always say. And he fixed this for me, and he refinished the neck,
Mm,
and it's brilliant. And Steve Horry, who will definitely listen to this, has had it for a bit and recorded with it. It's now got some Zona pickups in it. I changed. It is. It's not here. My mate Stu's got it at the moment, just around the corner.
right.
But it is. It is always going to stay.
Yeah.
It's got my daughter's name on the truss rod cover engraved.
Oh, wow.
It's that's a really nice touch. But it's only like about £10 to get one of those done, and that
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
really good. And it's not that dinged. It's quite well worn. It's sort of yellowed really nicely, but that
Mm,
one will always stay. That's going absolutely nowhere because that obviously had the fact that Wayne helped me out of a bind, and then he
mm,
gifted the guitar back to me. Then I got it finished by Philippe, and I've used that in
mm.
loads of bands, and it'll never get retired because it's a player guitar. If I knock the headstock off again, I just repair the headstock. It's not worth
Yep.
anything financially, but it's sentimental value, and so I do have some sentimental attachment, obviously, to this one and to that
Yeah.
SG. Apart
And
from
that one.
that, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I picked up, and this is another keeper. I picked up one for. I don't want anyone to think I'm rich here. I'm not. This is all, but I inherited a small amount of money when my mum passed away last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I did was I'll move on, which we'll talk about another time. I'm getting a Fano built, and
Yes.
also I bought a 1960 Les Paul Junior, which
Oh, you
lives
did.
lives under the bed. That's
Yeah.
not that. I mean, I'm not
That's
a
investment stuff.
despite what anyone says, it's like, right, okay, guitars to be played, yes, fair enough. This one might get my kids through university. It is literally, it
Mm,
will get played occasionally when it comes out. It's a 1960. They can't make any more. It's great. So
mm.
so so three keepers is the answer to your question.
You've got three. Well, I'm surprised that you've got any that are keepers.
Yeah.
It's good to
So
hear.
Zona, 60 Junior, and my SG are keepers.
Yeah.
The rest of them, who knows? I really like the R8. Really like the Gibson R8, which is the
Yeah.
58 reissue.
Mm.
Your brother would kill me if I parted with that. It does what I
You
what I
would.
like it. It's got a couple of dings on it now, so I'm not worried
Yeah.
about playing it out. So
Yeah.
that might stay. But I'll say to your brother on numerous times is I've traded myself into a corner again, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I might have done that again
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah.
and I have no money in the guitar budget, so I can't buy my way out of the corner. So
No,
I'd have to
okay.
trade my way out, and it would be what would go.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's probably going to be that if it
It's
comes
probably
down
going to
to
be the
it.
Nova. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
but as you said, though, however, I did put that guild up for sale.
You did. That is true.
So
Well,
that's my current potential. I'm in no hurry to
okay.
get rid of that.
No.
That's my current, because I took it to rehearsal, sounded amazing, absolutely brilliant, but it wasn't right for
Mm.
what we did.
Yeah.
So
Well, this brings me on to a sort of a slightly interesting point of that I've always been fairly mid of the road. I like, I've got my Explorer. I'm not really a Gibson man, as you know.
yeah,
But and we might have a discussion about that where I'll probably get blocked by Gibson permanently.
but
Um,
honestly,
Having said that, I've got my Explorer and I love it to bits. Got
yeah,
it for an absolute song. I never want to sell it. It's another one of my
except to me.
edge sort of collection guitars. I've
I'll
got my
have that off
Strat.
you one day. If that goes to anyone, that goes to me, because
Okay.
that's if we get on to regrets, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Carry on.
Yeah. So So I've got my Gibson and Strat, and obviously I've got my I've got the Pensa and everything, which was custom, which I knew was going to be good. I've got my beloved Cole Clark. I tell you what, if you want acoustics,
Yeah.
I shall reach him. This is my Cole Clark.
Yeah.
Made in I don't know if we do acoustics, but it's a guitar.
Yeah, of course we do.
They're made in Melbourne.
Yeah.
They're
You
made.
know what's really odd? I'd
They're
never
beautiful.
heard of that company apart from you briefly mentioning it. It came up on my feed this morning.
They are
By the way.
awesome. Yeah, they've got we'll discuss this another time, but basically they've got because they're in Australia. They've got sort of exotic hardwoods all over the place, and they make
Yeah.
them out of this sort of unobtainium wood. And this is, I mean, I had a guitar made for me, a Froggy Bottom guitar that was
Yeah.
handmade in Vermont. I've played 6 Grand Taylors. None of them come near this thing. It's magic, and I love it. And
Well,
they're wonderful. But what I like about the fact that I'm never brave enough to go for there's the left field guitars. They're the guitars
yeah.
that people maybe don't know about.
Yeah.
There's the Stratocasters, there's the Telecasters, there might be a precision bass, there might be all this sort of stuff. And yet there's people like you that go out and have the balls to go and think, well, that's looking weird. I'll have that and see what it's like. And it's
I'm
great.
looking at that. I love that. A constant, and it's always to my detriment because they're such a nightmare to bloody sell and to move on. But it makes it more fun. It's like fishing for a hard to catch fish. It's not the easiest thing. If you wanted to sell a Strat, you know what the price range is. Depending on the level of the Strat, you'll get rid of it. It'll go.
So what's the one that you've bought? So there's a quick question. What is the one that you bought and really didn't like? And what is one that you bought and absolutely fell in love with and was loath to part with it?
Right. Oh, that's a really good question.
Isn't it?
What ones that I bought that I didn't like? I bought let's have a think. I bought my first really nice guitar was a Gibson 355, a 2011 Gibson Custom Shop Red 355 with a Bigsby.
Nice.
It was an absolute piece of crap. It was the most rubbish guitar that I have ever owned in my life. It played like a blooming Encore Strat. The finish was awful. It was heavy. It was clunky. It wouldn't stay in tune. It was awful.
Gibson, yeah.
It was in that terrible, in my opinion, era of Gibsons. Although the custom shops usually are good consistently. 2009, 2010, and it was just crap. And it was. There was no other way you could look at it. It was heavy. It was just awful.
That's awful. Yeah.
So that was my first ever time I ever had a little bit of money when I got my first commission check from work, and it was the first. And I was so excited to get this home, and I got it out. And I was like, "Oh, that's all."
That is gutting.
Now, regrets is a far bigger question. So, I will definitely regret, and it still hasn't even arrived with Steve Jordan yet. I will definitely regret parting with that Friedman because I love them. I parted with it because I don't need the double humbucker because I got it on this, but I'll be gutted. I know I'll be gutted.
Yeah.
Explorer. When I was in big financial stuck, and I had a really great, I think it's the same as yours. I had a Natural Wood Explorer about 2001. Mine was
okay,
and it was phenomenal. I played it all the way through Rhesus. There's about 2 pictures or 3 pictures in the world of me playing it. On one incident, because we used to trash the stage in Rhesus, I remember jumping into Aaron's drum kit, and it's got a massive gouge out of the front of it. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I needed to pay the rent, and I sold it for about 350 quid. And I will. And if anyone knows where that is, and I've put it out on every Facebook group there is, Natural Wood Explorer 2001 with a gouge out of it. Let me know. I'll buy it back off you.
Yeah.
And then there was another one from when I was really young, and I have never found another one. I had in 1995, Fender made a standard Strat, just a standard USA Strat, green headstock, green board. So get it right. Surf green, not seafoam green. Seafoam green was the darker colour. Surf green headstock, surf green.
Beautiful.
Body, the matching headstock, maple neck.
Oh,
It was
right up there.
just looked the plums, that thing. But I swapped it for a Telecaster, which was, I've always loved Telecasters, but
Mm,
Telecasters are two a penny,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
cannot get. I have never seen another one of those for sale. So that's another one that
yeah.
if I find one of those, I'll get it. I know what your regret is.
I know. I was
Okay,
just about to. You reading my mind already.
yeah,
I
I know
know.
what
I
your
was
regret
going
is.
to ask you that, and you know exactly
I know
which one it
exactly what your
is.
regret. And the
Tell
worst
the
thing was,
viewing several. Tell the viewing several what it
well,
is.
look, I was on the Guernsey guitar page, and somebody had put up this Fender electric blue Fender Strat Plus, and I thought that looks like Andy's. They wanted £250 for it, and I messaged her straight away, and I said, "You're bloody mad! That's worth
Yeah,
700 quid of anyone's money. Put the price up."
I know. And I
And it was
sold
only
it to
then that
her.
I thought I should have bought that.
Yeah,
I
you
should have
should have
I should have
done.
bought that and called you and said, "I've got this back. You can have it back for 250 quid."
You should
Because
have done. Yeah.
I should, and at the time, because at the time it was a period of time when I think your brother was in Guernsey, I was in the UK. I don't think we'd seen each other very much for a while.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
but I recognised, because obviously that's the first nice guitar I ever played in my life.
yeah,
And
me
I
too.
remember, and do you know what? That's got to be somewhere. So here's another shout out. If anyone's got that electric blue Strat Plus, very,
Oh,
very, very light coloured maple neck, if I remember rightly, almost
yeah.
white maple
It
neck.
was wonderful.
And what a guitar!
I've got rid of some guitars just because of financial problems, and I've
Yeah,
had to
everyone
sell
does.
things, and
Yeah,
everyone does, and I regret it, and I hate it, and I hate not having to do it, and I wish I still had them all. But that Strat
yeah,
was magic. It
yeah.
was that thing. It first came back in 90. Oh, I'd like to say 93, early
93, 94,
90s.
I
Yeah, I think
think.
it's 93, 94. And I went up to the guitar shop, brought it back, opened it up, and that Fender case smell come up. And I
Oh
opened it
yeah,
up,
that vanilla-y.
and it's your first proper American made from California.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like, wow, look at this thing. And oh my God, I loved it to bits, and I miss it a lot. So yeah. And if in the comments below, anyone watching, let's hear your stories. Tell us what you regret buying. Tell us what you wish you had.
Mm.
Interact with us all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this is all about. And this is one of those conversations that could just go on forever and ever and ever. I mean, look at
Absolutely.
my guitar collection has changed by 50% in the last 2 weeks.
You're completely mad. I get why you're doing it, but
Yeah.
I couldn't ever do it. I
No,
couldn't just.
well, this is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already thinking. I'm thinking. Right, I've got this guild up for sale now. But what I tend to do is I'll put it up on the Facebook group and I'll say, "Got this for sale. This is what I paid for it.
Yeah.
Make me a cash offer if you like. Otherwise, I'm open to trades, and you
Yeah.
just tell me what you've got, because you
Yeah.
never know." And
Absolutely.
I've had some. I mean, I had some absolute. I tell you what. One more. Obviously, we're going on a bit. So what? One. We want to
So
keep it
good.
concise. So what? One more little story before we finish up. And this is a story about me having someone by accident, and then someone else having me. And what happened was I had an R8, beautiful R8, which I loved, which I've now replaced with that R8 that I've got. It's a Bourbon Burst 2014 R8, my favourite year of them.
Mm.
And I put it up one day, put it up for sale. I don't know why. I just literally woke up in the morning and thought, let's just see what else is out there.
Mm.
And some guy came back to me and he said, "I'll tell you what I've got. I've got a Billy Gibbons." It's one I knew nothing. I've got a Billy Gibbons custom shop gold top. That I'll trade for that if you like. I fancy something sunburst. Oh, maybe. Anyway, I got this thing and came home, and I thought, I'll just swap this out. I want a Les Paul custom. I'll just swap this out. Got it home, and it was great, but I was no real ZZ Top fan. It looked pretty cool. I put it up for sale for pretty much what the R8 was worth, and it went in 9 to 12 seconds. I then found out, probably worth about 12,000 quid. So not only had I accidentally had the guy that sold it to me, because I had no idea, I then got fucking had by somebody else who did know what they were looking for.
Oh
So,
dear.
and all of that happened in the period of about 3 days. But it was the Billy Gibbons gold top Les Paul
Mm,
with the, he's got his pinstripe thing,
mm,
all around here.
okay.
It was mint, idiot.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
No.
There's so
You
many
do
times.
now.
Yeah, no, because you're always learning. You're
Oh
literally
yeah.
always learning. I mean, I do myself a mischief on a weekly basis on this. But the rule is the general rule of thumb is no cash. I don't get involved because I know what budget's in my guitars. I
Mm,
don't actually know what the exact number is, but I know I don't spend any money on them. So
no.
it's the hobby, it's the swapping that, and the small. I've got to call the blooming insurance company this morning and change all my bloody insurance again because I've got a load of different guitars that
Yeah.
I specifically insured the Friedman for playing out because I was playing it out. And
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
obviously, I now no longer have the Friedman, so there's no point in
No.
it being insured. So I
Absolutely
must do
not.
I must do that fairly soon. So yeah, but look, we could go
Absolutely.
on about this forever, right? I mean
We could.
it's one of those things. I mean, yes, I have some sentimental guitars.
Mm,
Lots of them are to do with Wayne, actually, because I think because Rhesus was my sort of first big foray into the London music scene stuff. I
yeah.
was
Yeah.
formative years. Subgirls, obviously, I absolutely love, but I was never really. I've only recently started playing guitar in Subgirls. I just sang for so it wasn't really the guitar band for me, but
No.
now it is much more. But anyway, I could go
Yeah.
on for ages. But mate, I think that I enjoyed that. Have you got
Yeah.
any more questions to ask?
I think we've covered everything. I think we get what you're doing. We get why you're doing it. I'm never going to change because they're my babies. They're
Yeah,
mine. I'm not getting rid of them. But I get the excitement of getting a new guitar and just checking it out, getting the feel, seeing
yeah,
what it's like. And absolutely, it's just awesome. And then on to the next topic of when we do one next week, and then we'll see what everybody
absolutely.
comes up with.
Well, I think a lot of my past mistakes guitar wise have been to do with the fact I used to drink far too much booze. So I used to get on. I used to sit there on a Friday night after 3 or 4 pints, sit there with a couple of glasses of whiskey and just make ridiculous mistakes. But
Yeah,
now I don't do that anymore. So it's changed.
probably wise.
Yeah, good. Awesome, mate. Well, that's brilliant. Nice to see you, Andy. Great to
And nice
chat
to
to
see
you.
you too. Yeah, you too, Jim.
And we'll
And
speak soon.
we will speak soon. Take care. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye bye.
Cut.